George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe. When I was in 3rd grade, I memorized all the presidents of the United States. When I was in 3rd grade, the only reason I looked forward to going to heaven was so that God could tell me everything. When I was in 3rd grade, I knew so many everythings. Reading, writing, long division, Power Rangers, the complete Chronicles of Narnia, twice. I didn't know calculus, but if you told me it was school, I would tell you I would get an A on it. I knew John Quincy Adams, son of the former John Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison was president for 32 days before he died of pneumonia. He was succeeded by John Tyler, James K. Polk. Later I would learn he was the only president to ever sport a mullet. John Taylor, Millard Fillmore, last of the Whigs. I didn't know who the Whigs were, but they really were named for their hair. And I knew almost everything. And when I grew up, I was going to know all of everything, more everything than everything had ever been known by before. Take that, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln. When I was in 4th grade, I memorized the Gettysburg Address and asked my teacher for extra credit. She refused, but I recited it anyway. Because that's what knowers of everything do. They know stuff. Like, everything. Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. The S doesn't stand for anything. Grant. Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield. James A. Garfield was shot one morning as he walked through the Capitol with his 2 young sons by a disgruntled federal officer with illusions of grandeur. The first bullet grazed his arm. The second could not be found. Alexander Graham Bell invented the first metal detector to save the man's life, but it could not scan against the metal bed springs. On being shot, Garfield exclaimed, "My God, what is this?" The shooter was full of knowing, certain he had been crucial in Garfield's election, certain he would one day be president himself, certain God had ordained him to assassinate the president. My God, what is this? After I attended my first funeral, I decided that when I got to heaven, I didn't want to know everything. For example, what the inside of Auschwitz's ovens looked like, the taste of Agent Orange on my lungs, the bombing of Dresden, the scent of a bread line. It turns out you can know an awful lot of everything without really knowing much of anything. Wow. These days I forget bits of things on purpose. Every time I burn a CD to my computer, I always delete a track, always leave something unknown. These days I only try to know everything I can fit inside my own heart without breaking it. Some nights I shout, "I don't know," to the constellations just to hear them ignore me.
Do it, Hill.
Knowing of everything is either tragic or tedious. So I cradle the mysteries, fall in love with my own limits. James A. Garfield was the 20th President of the United States. I don't know who came next.